Ukraine has received yet another batch of F-16 jets.
107 pound.
I am a pilot of an F-16 fighter jet, and there are almost no points that we cannot cover. Every missile is the target.
The sky is turning into Ukraine's most powerful battlefield. F-16s now play a critical role not only in defense, but also in direct offensive operations. These supersonic fighters, which made their air combat debut in August, are now flying sorties every day, launching deadly raids into the hottest areas of the war. They blind Russian radars and electronic warfare systems and target headquarters, bridges and command centers with precision-guided bombs. F-16s taking off from secret airstrips across the country have the potential to hunt down even Russian attack aircraft. So how is Ukraine's new air strategy changing the course of the war? How can the Russian military develop a defense against this deadly threat from the skies? For answers to these questions and more, here is our video. But first, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and give us a like to stay up to date with our content. F-16s have once again taken off to launch strikes against Russian targets. The Ukrainian Air Force announced this information by publishing an interview with an F-16 pilot. The pilot's face was obscured, and the Air Force reported that it withheld the pilot's name and call sign for security reasons. The pilot, whose name was not disclosed, provided information about the strikes they carried out against Russia on the front line in eastern Ukraine. The pilot's days are a blur of pre-dawn briefings, aerial reconnaissance flights, and strikes on enemy territory. The pilot explained that they fly 1 or 2 missions every day, targeting Russian positions not only along the front lines, but also in the occupied territories, and sometimes even inside Russia. In this context, he explains how critical it is for combat air patrols, i.e., Ukrainian fighter jets to constantly patrol certain areas in order to detect and intercept Russian air elements. The Ukrainian Air Force uses high-precision munitions to neutralize Russian ground forces and air defense systems. Ukrainian F-16s are equipped with high-precision aerial bombs for ground attacks, including SDBs and JDAM-ER glide bombs. A recently released high-quality image of the F-16 shows BRU-61 pylons carrying 4 GBU-39B SDBs per pylon. The pilot explains how the target selection process takes place and how carefully the operations are conducted. The footage of the recent attack also corroborates the pilot's account. Ukraine's Electronic Intelligence Unit has located a Russian operations center in eastern Ukraine. This command center was giving tactical orders to Russian troops on the ground, coordinating air defense and monitoring the battlefield from drones. Satellite imagery and drone data showed that the center was protected by air defense systems. Ukrainian military planners have determined the most appropriate method of attack to be low-altitude approach and precision airstrike with electronic warfare support. As the F-16s approached the mission point, communication signals between Russian radars and the command center were disrupted. While Russian defense systems were suppressed, the F-16s, the main attack unit, directed GPS-guided JDAM bombs to the command center. Targeted with high precision, the 907 kilogram GBU-31 JDAM bomb shattered the reinforced steel and concrete walls of the building thanks to its bunker-piercing warhead. The intensity of the explosions was quite powerful as the ammunition cache in the command center exploded. There was no time for Russian military personnel to leave the command center. After the attack, the F-16s again descended to low altitude and quickly flew away from the area. Ukraine's reconnaissance drones assessed the damage and determined that the command center was completely destroyed. Thus, Russia's coordination on the front line was disrupted. After the footage of the operation, the pilot continued his interview. The pilot said that more than 80% of the missiles launched by Ukrainian F-16s reached their targets and destroyed everything from Iranian-made Shahed drones to Russian cruise missiles. The pilot said that Ukraine uses its F-16s for tactical strikes like scalpels, while Soviet MiG-29s, Su-24s and Su-27s are more like hammers and sledgehammers, tasked with suppressing and destroying targets. Ukrainian Soviet aircraft are often sent to bomb Russian targets at close range. The pilot said this meant that his comrades were flying dangerously close to the front line. Ukraine therefore deploys F-16s to provide cover for their Soviet counterparts. The jets from the West have a distinct advantage over Soviet-era aircraft. The F-16 can carry almost twice the payload of a MiG-29 and has more hardpoints for mounting ammunition. They can also deploy advanced Western munitions without requiring complex and costly modifications. This makes them more effective in attacking Russian bases, command centers and logistics hubs deep behind enemy lines. In addition, their greater operational range allows them to be rearmed and repaired at safer, more remote air bases, reducing the risk of Russian counterattacks. Beyond striking ground targets, Ukraine's F-16 jets are also well equipped for air-to-air combat. They feature advanced radar systems, superior missile capabilities, and a relatively small radar cross-section compared to many Russian fighter jets, making them difficult to detect and target. Other published images of Ukrainian F-16 sorties show them carrying AM-120 AMRAAM missiles, external fuel tanks, and additional air-to-air sidewinders. This loading suggests that these jets are on a mission to engage Russian aircraft rather than a ground attack mission, demonstrating Ukraine's growing ability to challenge Russian warplanes. But the success of Ukrainian F-16s is not limited to these. Earlier, it was revealed that a Ukrainian pilot set a record by shooting down 6 missiles with his F-16. This record gave an idea of how far the Ukrainian Air Force has come in its fight against the Russian invasion. Shooting down 6 Russian missiles in a single mission is no easy task, especially when Ukrainian pilots are still getting used to the F-16 fighter jets. But the Ukrainian pilot showed us that it is indeed possible to achieve the impossible. Yuri Inhat, a former spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force, posted on social media to praise the pilot's skill. Inhat said that despite a difficult electronic warfare environment, the pilot managed to shoot down 6 cruise missiles using the plane's missiles. Despite being low on fuel and needing to return to base, the pilot chose to stay in the air and continue his mission when he noticed the missiles heading towards Kiev. With fire from his plane's cannon, he intercepted one of the missiles, a missile moving at speeds in excess of 650 kilometers per hour. Although the maneuver was quite dangerous, it was reportedly successful. The pilot described that after firing the cannon several times, an explosion occurred, after which he thought at first that it was a secondary explosion, but later discovered that 2 missiles had been hit. Further explaining the complexity of the mission, the official emphasized the difficulty of targeting a fast-moving missile at close range, while staying at a safe distance from the missile due to the risk of the missile's warhead exploding. The pilot said that the training he received from US instructors had prepared him for such a scenario, but the result was still considered extraordinary. Inhat emphasized the pilot's impressive achievement, noting that even American military experts did not believe it. The pilot emphasized that the achievement was a record, but the main goal was to protect the Ukrainian people. He dedicated this achievement to his fallen comrades who did not have the opportunity to see the F-16 take to the skies over Ukraine. According to the Air Force Command, Ukrainian pilots had previously trained in missile destruction using aircraft cannons in US-based simulators. However, this was reportedly the first example of real-world combat. The name of the pilot who accomplished this feat has not yet been released, but it is believed that he was among the first group of pilots trained in 2023 and has been flying the aircraft since its arrival in July. US military officials could not hide their admiration for this incredible success. Colonel John Venable, a former F-16 pilot with 25 years of experience in the US Air Force, said it would be an impressive feat and an indication of how much the Ukrainian Air Force has improved. He emphasized that the pilot's alertness and quick reaction says a lot about the capabilities of the Ukrainian Air Force. John Venable mentioned that in this case, the pilot would have to detect cruise missiles and then mobilize fighter jets to successfully intercept them. Venable said that such a response would not be a simple task. It would require Ukraine's command and control systems, sensors and radars to work together seamlessly. Peter, a former Royal Australian Air Force officer at the Griffith Asia Institute, said the response showed that the Ukrainian pilot had received good training because of his ability to react quickly to changing situations. Ukraine's F-16 pilots had received training from a coalition that included the Netherlands, Canada, Denmark, the United States, and Romania. The exchange was not unilateral. While most Ukrainian soldiers received training from Western allies, these allies say Ukraine also trained them in tactics and how to fight Russia. On the other hand, Russian pilots had a reputation for taking orders from ground controllers. But this incident shows that Ukrainian pilots have adopted Western methods to act both independently and aggressively when the situation is right. And this is how they outwitted the Russian Air Force. The westernization of Ukraine's military could help the country's goal of joining NATO, which remains uncertain because the country is at war with Russia. Ukrainian military officials also commented on the incredible feat accomplished by the F-16 pilot, in line with the country's NATO doctrine. The pilot ran out of missiles and was low on fuel, but made a quick decision to keep fighting, pursuing 2 more of the Russian missiles with weapons. A riskier engagement that required control of the aircraft and confidence that a safe airfield was nearby, officials said. The Ukrainian military allowed individual soldiers and leaders to make quick decisions away from the central command. In contrast, Russia was hampered by its reluctance to delegate decisions, which slowed its response to developments on the battlefield and even lost commanders as a result. For Russia, one of the world's leading countries in terms of air power, this tragic defeat is likely to severely undermine confidence in the Kremlin. Conversely, confidence in the F-16 fighter jets is likely to rise considerably. The F-16s have already signalled that they will contribute to Kiev's defence efforts by developing an already diverse air defence network that includes batteries of long-range surface-to-air missiles, mobile patrols of armed trucks, and armed helicopters on anti-drone missions. So from the moment Ukraine received its first batch of F-16 fighter jets, it was clear that they would play a crucial role in the country's air defence strategy. Finnish analyst Joni Askola emphasised the importance of seeing these F-16s in action, noting their value despite their age. According to Askola, the Ukrainian F-16 jets are relatively old, but they are equipped with AMRAAM and Sidewinder air-to-air missiles, although not the latest versions. While these missiles are not the latest on the market, they are reliable and readily available from Ukraine's allies. This allows the Ukrainian Air Force to maintain a stable supply of ammunition for its F-16s, as more of these fighter jets will be delivered to the Ukrainian military next year. Deploying F-16s for air defence patrols is a logical choice given Russia's ongoing aerial bombardment. The Ukrainian military is using every available resource to counter daily attacks. F-16s, upgraded fighters from the 1980s, are well suited for this task. The initial deployment of Ukrainian F-16s was primarily focused on intercepting Russian cruise missiles. This allows the Ukrainian Air Force to use its new assets in a relatively controlled and low-risk environment. However, as additional F-16s continue to arrive and the Ukrainian Air Force's operational capabilities expand, the scope of their mission is expected to change. As confirmed by President Volodymyr Zelensky, additional F-16 fighter jets have been delivered. Although he did not specify the exact number of new aircraft, Zelensky dismissed Russian claims that one of the previously received aircraft was shot down in Sumy Oblast, calling it a fabrication, as the Russians have not shared any evidence to support their claims. Canada's recent decision to provide 4 additional F-16 flight simulators will allow the new F-16 fighters to increase their combat capability and improve pilot training. Training more pilots at the same time will allow more airmen to be combat-ready earlier, which is vital for Ukraine to continue flying more sorties. These advanced jets could be tasked with attacking more challenging and sophisticated targets, such as Russian fighter jets and complex air defence systems. Finnish analyst Joni Askola believes that once Ukraine acquires additional F-16 jets, more pilots, 2 Saab AEW aircraft, more experience and more missiles, the jets will be used for purposes beyond just air defence. While Askola does not see F-16s as game changers in conflict, he believes they will increasingly contribute to a wider range of missions. To prepare the F-16s for more intense conflicts, Western and Ukrainian authorities are equipping the jets with advanced protection systems. Ukrainian F-16s are equipped with pylon-integrated deployment systems and electronic combat integrated pylon systems to protect them from Russian missiles. Prior to the arrival of the first batch of F-16 Viper fighters for the Ukrainian Air Force, the US Air Force helped optimize the electronic warfare systems on these jets. This enhancement strengthened their ability to counter Russian threats and improve their defense capabilities. Significant upgrades to these fighter jets are expected in the future. It is expected that the F-16 fighter jets allocated to the Ukrainian army will also benefit from these updates. This situation will probably seriously challenge the Russians. This is because the Ukrainian armies gaining the advantage in terms of air power will greatly restrict the Russian invasion moves. The Ukrainian side, on the other hand, has added Mirage fighter jets as well as F-16s to its Air Force inventory in order to shake the Kremlin and stop this invasion completely. If you remember, during the D-Day celebrations last June, France made a series of announcements. They promised to train and fully equip a Ukrainian brigade. They also promised to deliver French Mirage jets to Ukraine and train Ukrainian pilots to fly them. They have fulfilled all these promises on time and as promised. French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu announced today the delivery of French Mirage jets to Ukraine. The Mirage jets going to Ukraine are not the ones currently used by the French Air Force. France has refurbished the jets scheduled for retirement and has modified them extensively over the last 6 months. They have been upgraded with air-ground combat capabilities and electronic anti-warfare defense systems. Now, they are buying an unknown number of Mirage jets, probably 4 to 6 units. This is only the first batch, and over time this number should be close to 2 full squadrons. A fleet of 24 Mirage jets would be a reasonable target, but can Russia counter these advanced Ukrainian capabilities? Based on data provided by Ukrainian military intelligence, Russia has about 100 Su-35 fighter jets, more than 100 Su-34 fighter bombers, and 7 A-50 early warning and control aircraft as of March. It is estimated that 10 Su-34 fighter jets and 2 Su-35 fighter jets were eliminated. This figure is quite successful for Ukraine because such planes are worth millions of dollars. In February, Ukraine announced that it had shot down 13 Russian planes in just 2 weeks. According to the Defense Ministry, this was the largest number of aircraft the country had managed to destroy in a single month since October 2022. Former Air Force spokesman Yuri Ihnat said that the increase in the number of downed Russian aircraft was attributed to the air defense systems provided by Ukraine's allies, which, by decision of the military leadership, could be moved closer to the border or the front line. In other words, the Russian Air Force was overshadowed by Western air defense systems sent to Ukraine and Kiev's national drones. Such Russian losses and defeats are not only a major risk factor for the Air Force, they also suggest that the Russian military could collapse in a very short period of time. Not around 2025, not in 2026. Gone are the days of forecasting for more than a year. Now, we have a clear timeline in front of us, and that is the fall of 2025. Every development until then is critical for the war. Thank you for watching.